The link between Ellen and Epstein, as well as her participation in obtaining ambitious artists for his personal sanctuary, is finally emerging. Found voice tapes and digital communications showing Epstein's utilization of coded vocabulary for those he victimized have lately been made public, and according to a recording from one witness, Virginia Giuffre, Epstein was not acting on his own.
I've talked to many other girls, and a lot of things have happened, okay? So, just take a deep breath.
I'm trying. It's just I'm not that type of person. That's why I was so.
And I understand that, and that seems to be a case with a lot of people. Okay, either they need cash quickly and they fall into this rut. But that's why I'm trying to.
I understand.
Look into this, but that's why I need you to be totally honest with me.
I am being
totally
completely
truthful.
honest with you.
Okay. So what else happened?
And then when he started pleasing himself, he got up and he went over to a drawer and he pulled out this thing, and then he pulled down my and then he started, it was just like this.
In the commencement of the 2000s, Virginia Roberts, a female from Great Britain, declared that Ghislaine Maxwell had transported her to Epstein's Isle and forced her to participate in intimate acts with powerful individuals, containing figures of the British monarchy, starting when she was merely 14. Virginia even owned images of these individuals, including Prince Andrew. She revealed that Epstein was not behaving by himself and instead managed a system of secure residences and prominent figures across the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Virgin Islands. Purportedly, Jeffrey Epstein conveyed women on his personal aircraft to clandestine gatherings and circles.
A lot
where
of
elite
people
authorities
involved. It
and
took
news
doctors,
personalities were
psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on. Everyone's turned a blind eye in the place where I was supposed to be protected, in my country where I was supposed to be protected. The justice system failed us then. I believe they're going to do something amazing for us now. I really believe in them. I believe that the New York Southern District wants to do the right thing. And I will do everything that I can do to be a part of helping them do that.
Even though no additional persons encountered legal action and the Ministry of Justice insisted that Epstein behaved completely by himself, these disclosed records and Virginia's personal statement proved that others were certainly involved. In 2019, merely weeks before the official publication of the Epstein documents, Virginia revealed on social platforms that she was being aimed at with menaces from nameless origins, cautioning of the results if she persisted to talk. Virginia had openly declared she was writing a volume concerning every person she met on Epstein's secret isle and his individual plane. Prior to her being capable of printing the volume, nonetheless, she was hit by a car. While she outlived that occurrence, she allegedly ended her own life just days afterward. This is the moment where the circumstances become especially questionable. Briefly before her death, Virginia had actually uploaded a message regarding being a mark. The update remarked, "I am making it openly recognized that in no manner, condition, or type am I self-destructive. I have communicated this with my counselor and physician. If something occurs to me, for the benefit of my kin, do not allow this narrative to vanish and assist in guarding them."
Back and live now, I'm Austin Westfall. Breaking news coming in, some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post, several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and trafficking." The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was trafficked at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken.
The document Virginia was composing before her death was never completed. However, a fragment of it was still published. The accusations included within it are among the causes that Prince Andrew, a significantly powerful figure of the British monarchy, was later detained. Astonishingly, a major portion of her work actually disappeared precisely around the time of her passing. The part that had been submitted to her editor, nevertheless, revealed shocking details.
It's a harrowing read, and it'll make you feel uncomfortable, but these are the excerpts that stood out for me from the memoir written by the late Virginia Giuffre, which has just been released. In it, she describes being trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein to, quote, a man who raped me more savagely than anyone had before. Now, it's worth noting that in the US edition of the book, she described the man in legal filings only as, quote, a prime minister, and that he had repeatedly choked her until she lost consciousness and, quote, took pleasure in seeing me fear for my life. Giuffre doesn't name the Prime Minister or many of the other men that she writes about in this book. Her co-author, Amy Wallace, says it shouldn't be up to the survivors of abuse out there. It should be the authorities, which is why she's calling for the so-called Epstein files to be released. Giuffre does name Epstein and Prince Andrew, of course, who she says she had encounters with in multiple locations.
Virginia's final voice recording validated the enduring rumors that had been spreading. Epstein was not performing by himself, and if any person provides evidence against him, they shall be hushed. The Ministry of Justice is concealing the reality and has neglected to reveal the complete records, regardless of numerous years transpiring since Epstein's passing. FBI head Kash Patel was even captured delivering inaccurate data concerning Epstein. He surfaced on Joe Rogan's broadcast and asserted there was no chance that Epstein was murdered. Here is the declaration offered by Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's most trusted associate, concerning this topic.
So you think he did not die by given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by no.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who killed him?
This audio record was made accessible in 2024. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Ministry of Justice announced that they would provide the Epstein records 1 year later, in 2025. This disclosure caused extensive concern throughout the entertainment world. Numerous digital messages and voice snippets from the Epstein collection suggest that he used his links within the performance sector to recruit young females. Epstein was even linked with several modeling agencies and recognized as a scout for talent. Now, reflect on which person exited the United States immediately after this announcement.
They're losing their minds.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very
she
sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of...
This was not the only sign that something was wrong. Briefly after Ellen's exit from the country, her lead producer Twitch, whom she called her main aide, ended his life. In his letter to his partner, Twitch allegedly revealed the complete reality. He told her about what he saw while working alongside Ellen. Issues that involved powerful people, including names he never expected would be connected to such wickedness. He informed Allison that he had been forced to stay silent, that persons close to him, including Ellen, were not the individuals they claimed to be. Afterward appeared his voice tape, supposedly a note to Ellen which revealed every fact. The audio clip, which has not yet been officially released, has been cited across different web forums and leaked personal communications.
We're learning more tonight about the tragic suicide of Stephen Twitch boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before his suicide, he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left his suicide note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past. Entertainer Tyler Perry knows firsthand what that is like.
I want to take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times because it was so dark. I thought the only way to make this better, this pain go away, is to end my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best part of my life.
Ellen was not even trying to hide her alleged involvement in the disgusting actions Hollywood is presently being held responsible for. During a portion with Sandra Bullock, Ellen and Sandra Bullock openly discussed their use of a material obtained from others and jested about how it preserved their vibrant look.
Okay, let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do
Not
this?
everybody.
Okay, and, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sandra? Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean.
This might seem to be a practical joke. Nevertheless, the rumors of this happening in Hollywood have continued for years. There were even tapes showing one Hollywood notable, Peter Nygard, trying to buy terminated pregnancies. This identical individual later became notorious for serious criminal charges and court rulings involving the exploitation and mistreatment of myriad women over many decades.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of your monkey.
You want
you can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500, but you know. I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Whatever I bid, he's gonna outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled.
The recently released emails from the Epstein files show Jeffrey Epstein was interested in genetic medicine. He paid a researcher at Massachusetts General Hospital for tests that could be used to help create stem cells. Investigators found a $2,000 invoice from 2014 for sequencing part of Epstein's genome. The doctor that he paid also provided an estimate for personalized longevity studies that would use gene editing. He told investigators Epstein was enrolled in the Personal Genome Project at Harvard University.
Particular followers even contend that the platform for Ellen's show was constructed to look like a temple on Epstein's personal island.
Number 2. Nice. We could have done this here.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I was like, you know what? That's a good way to die. They're not going to let me buy that place. Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
But just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What?
Moreover, to give you a perception concerning the character of the accusations emerging against Ellen, this was what she pressured Justin Bieber into executing as a humorous stunt. I believe we all recollect how amazed the audience was to find that Ellen, a person who had built her entire identity around being kind, was actually dissimilar. Ellen conveyed remorse for her deeds and, during her communal declaration, even forced Twitch to surface on the broadcast.
Like a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be you're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
Yeah, she's got dogs and hoods. If an intern's late, they have a hood on. I don't support that. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Her departure aligned exactly with the announcement concerning the Epstein records release, and spectators could not overlook that Ellen also attempted to change her appearance as well. An individual who had stayed blonde during her whole career modified her hair tint and moved to Britain for a fresh start. Yet the synchronization was too suspicious for many people. Why would Ellen suddenly vanish from communal sight precisely as Epstein's associates were being revealed? And why the intense renovation of her persona?
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife Portia de Rossi have reportedly fled the US bound for the UK after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
It is a recognized reality that Epstein was victimizing young females, models, and juvenile artists from the performance industry. In a specific digital communication, Epstein remarked to a movie filmmaker researching a remarkably villainous person who is dispatched to his island. Epstein notified her that the individual is himself. Your friend spoke of the task she is performing, researching a genuinely wicked male who is dispatched to his island. She almost fainted when I revealed to her that the person was me. This happened 7 months before his arrest.
Question. Which one do you prefer? Lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring mind? I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute possible. That exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on May 23rd, 2008 is part of some 18,000 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account obtained by Bloomberg News. The emails, which suggest the inbox was most active between 2005 and 2008, include messages spanning 2002 to 2022. Epstein died in 2019, and emails received after that are largely spam or marketing offers. Overall, the emails offer a raw look into the disgraced financier and offender's world. While this inbox wasn't the only one he used, the newly uncovered emails do suggest how central Maxwell was to his life, something that contradicts her telling of events. She's characterized herself as a former girlfriend and property manager for Epstein, not someone with eyes into his vast influence machine or operation.
Subsequent to the issuance of the Epstein records, manifold survivors of his have started recounting their narratives and revealing exactly what transpired on that secluded isle. Marina Lacerta, one of the persons victimized by Jeffrey Epstein, declared, "There are individuals in the world who hold more insight regarding my encounters than I personally do. The officials presently stay in command of the files and information that could aid me in remembering and moving past all of this. I do not own any of those resources."
Until now, Marina Lacerda was known publicly only as victim number 1 in 2019 court documents. But now she's speaking out for the first time about her experience at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Her cooperation with the FBI was key to putting the offender behind bars. She says she was just 14 years old and living in a broken home in New York City when a friend brought her to meet Epstein to give him a massage.
I think with Jeffrey Epstein, it starts somewhere, but then it ends with either you having sex with him, whether you like it or not.
She became a part of a network of young girls in Astoria, Queens, recruited to be with Epstein, similar to what prosecutors say he did in Palm Beach, Florida.
When he has somebody new in his life, he likes to see them a lot. So I went there a whole bunch of times, and, it led to, unfortunately, he forced me to have sex with him, basically.
Lacerda says she was paid thousands of dollars and that as a young immigrant from Brazil, she says she believed being associated with a financier could lead to better opportunities.
It never happened, obviously, because it came to a point when I was, I'd say 16 and a half or 17. He didn't want me anymore. He was just like, "You're too old."
He said that?
He's like, you're too old. I don't want you anymore.
One more survivor declared within her pledged testimony that she was so frightened of Epstein's deeds toward her that she tried to swim away from his personal isle. In her statement, the survivor noted, "I had earlier made 2 tries to escape. There was one event when I sought to swim away from the island after I had been 3 times and after Ghislaine had kept back my nourishment. I was prepared to die while swimming and trying to escape from that island during that night."
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must be in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being raped. I was 10. That is how long this trafficking ring has been going.
Portions of the records where the survivor revealed the incidents happening on the isle have been hidden. Nonetheless, another alleged victim, a youthful model called Gabriela Jimenez, experienced a mental breakdown outside a lodging in 2009, screaming that she had seen something horrifying involving powerful guests. These were the same topics Ellen was jesting about with Sandra Bullock.
Luis, esta es la triste realidad de la joven Gabriela Rico Jiménez, que como observamos en unos momentos, intentó también agredir al elemento policíaco que logró someterla esta madrugada. Por eso, bueno, vamos a buscar la versión de las autoridades del por qué.
It was not only Ellen who was joking about issues that were later confirmed as real. From the recently released Ministry of Justice Epstein files, persons have noticed that words relating to nourishment appear strikingly often in digital messages and documents. The word pizza appears hundreds of times alongside mentions of ice cream and grape soda in situations where they simply are nonsensical. These repetitions have encouraged widespread web speculation that such expressions might be coded references to mental or sexual conduct, although that explanation has not been validated by legal officials.
So I don't know what this one means. I'm not sure if you've seen it. This is Jeffrey Epstein sending it to Colm Olivier. By the way, imagine, I feel bad for anyone that's innocent, that wasn't involved in anything incriminating, and maybe before Epstein was charged with in 2008, before the truth started coming out of what he's guilty of. If someone was caught in this email thread talking about something innocent with Epstein, I feel bad for them. So my heart goes out to them, and I hope they don't get stuck along with everyone else that's actually been involved in things that are incriminating. But this one sends an email. No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. And then the Olivier replies, as long as you don't have any hammerhead ones, are like white sharks. And then Jeffrey sends an email the next day. As two are Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. And then Olivier then emails, the king of Saudi has a few white sharks in his Jeddah palace. I totally prefer yours. Sure, I would enjoy the view. And then Jeffrey goes, on my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. So this is an email that essentially just refers to Russian girls. To our Russian, doesn't say girls, to our Russian, and refers to them as white sharks. And then later says, the king of Saudi has some, but I prefer yours. And then later talks about an aquarium full of girls. It's just another example, in my opinion, of code words being used. I just don't know what it would mean. What do you make of this?
So what I make of it is basically he's saying that they'll hook up with ugly girls, that the head doesn't matter so much, that the body's what matter. That's the way I read it. That's what I think Epstein means by that, is basically saying like some of them are like shrimp. You can take off the head, just keep the body. So in other words, that's based on reading a lot of his stuff. That's my take. It totally could be wrong.
These coded expressions are not proof of unlawful deeds. However, they have offered drive to conspiracy accounts like Pizzagate. The most disturbing factor is that the powerful individuals in leadership are no longer even trying to explain their behaviors.
2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a child trafficking ring from a Washington pizzeria basement. Have you reviewed any 2025-2026 Epstein files that were released that you believe reference or relate to those specific 2016 claims regarding the Podesta emails, Comet Ping Pong Pizza used as code possibly?
I'm sorry, you're asking her about whether she's reviewed emails in the Epstein files which relate to the wacky Pizzagate scam.
You could characterize it however you want. I just would like to know if she's familiar with any of them.
So excuse me, your question is about whether or not she has reviewed any emails in the Epstein release files about Pizzagate.
Correct.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be...
There are connections to the language.
Well, the QAnon people believe there are, so
I don't know what QAnon people believe.
Have at it.
Presently, it is no longer about a solitary person. It relates to a system that regularly repeats the same pattern. Individuals offer evidence and then suddenly they are silenced, discredited, or disappear. Records are delayed, proof evaporates, and the truth is buried under media accounts that never completely make sense. Thus, what is your view? Is this a coincidence or is something being concealed? Post your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this one, uncensored, straight to the point, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.